An author once asked me to write a chapter for him on spirituality. And I said, well, the chapter has to be very small then. He said, how many pages do you think it will write? I said, no, not pages. It will be too small. Will it be one page? I said, perhaps less. What, will it be just a sentence? I said, maybe less than that. Maybe one word. And he said, what is that word? I said, if you can experience that word, you are spiritual. And the word is love. Love is originating from the soul. Love is originating, is born in totality of consciousness and percolates down all the way right up to here and never leaves us. If we hold on to love for the perfect in us, hold on to that, you reach your home, true home. Then what is stopping us? What is stopping us is our own mind, given to us for some other purpose. The mind which has been given to communicate with people, to write books, to speak with languages, that mind is the one that's coming in the way. Love is natural. You can't learn it. But mind is to be trained. Language has to be trained. Manner of thinking and speaking has to be learnt. Everything else that the mind does has to be learnt. Love is not to be learnt. And therefore, it's the real pull. People ask me, there are so many spiritual masters, we have a problem finding out who is our master. It's a real issue with so many people. And the answer is simple. The one who pulls you with his unconditional love is your master. It's as simple. Masters come in human form for us. They come into this world to pick up souls that are eager and keen to go back home. Now, one master can't come and pick up the whole world because he's acting in a human drama as a human being. And the seekers are also human beings. So he has a limited role in a limited lifetime like us. Everybody has a limited lifetime. A master who comes in a lifetime like a human being also has a limited time and body here to work on. So how does he decide which souls to pick up and which ones not to pick up? There should be some methodology there too. The method is to explain in a layman's language that every master, every perfect living master, who is a projection of our own totality of consciousness and appears as a human being, carries his own list of which souls he has to take back. There is a list of marked souls that every master has. He will take those souls back no matter what. He will say, meditate. You meditate. He'll never say, if you don't meditate, I won't take you. His promise to take you is guaranteed. The rest of the thing is only for our own mind's purposes over here. The mind wants that. He gives answers to our mind's questions. Why? Because the mind wants that. His role is not to look into the mind or do what the mind is doing. He's already seeing we are trapped in the mind. He sees what karma is trapping us, what kind of prisoner we have become by our own actions, by our own thoughts. He pulls us out from there. He doesn't judge anybody. That's one of the key things you will notice. A master never judges anybody. His love is unconditional. He doesn't say, if you be a good person, I'll take you, otherwise I won't. On the other hand, his unconditional love, with no conditions, no judgment involved, overtakes the doubts of our own mind. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes it is not so much time. What is the reason? Some people make very quick progress and some are very slow in it. The reason is our own baggage which we carry on our mind. The baggage of our own karma. We carry guilt for mistakes we make, which we never give up, which make us lose even the self-esteem that we should carry because we have got a soul. We should have very high self-esteem that this body is containing an immortal soul. How come we forget this? Here is an embodiment, a form in which an immortal soul exists. This requires the best self-esteem. No, we just get governed by the mind and forget about what is our soul or where the soul is, or if there is a soul or not. We begin to think like that. And therefore, this baggage that we carry of our own karma, of our own actions, our own intentions, that makes it a different path for everybody. Some are faster, some are slower. Similarly, when masters initiate us, what do they see? They don't look at our body and they don't look at our face. They look at the soul trapped in the three-dimensional world of this mind. That's all they look. That here is a prisoner, this is the soul that's my responsibility, and it's trapped so badly. They have compassion naturally flowing. Their compassion is not for what is happening in the world. Their compassion is that this soul is trapped in this world, and we have to take the soul back home. So that is why you find strange kind of compassion and love from these masters you don't find anywhere else in the world. And you can't even explain it sometimes, how that happens. Because it is a soul-to-soul reaction. It is not something the mind is involved. When the mind gets involved, it can create some obstacles on the way, which are gradually removed. So remember, teachers come and teach the same thing to everybody. If you could learn spirituality from a teaching, you could read all the books. There are thousands of books containing the same teachings. You could just read those books and know what the spiritual path is all about and follow it. Masters don't come to teach. They come to take us back home. Their role is totally different from a teacher. They come, they pick up their souls, and they go through the processes which our minds are preventing us from going, the resistance they have to overcome. This resistance of the mind is what makes them say, do more meditation, do this, do those things, because they know, they can see that the mind is resisting. Anyway, the point was that the resistance of the mind is because of its doubt and fear. And that's why the mind resists. Am I leaving something that I have here for the unknown? I don't know what is on the other side. Am I taking a big leap of faith? What am I doing? Should I believe this or not? Is it a blind belief that I'm going into? These are all obstacles the mind will put in front of us. The great master's teaching, which I follow, says don't believe anything blindly. Nothing at all. Only go as far as you can see. Only go as far as your own experience justifies. If you have no experience to justify moving on, don't move. Say, I'm waiting. I must have some experience to move on. The experience need not be an internal visual experience. It can be an external experience. It can be rapid repetition of strange coincidences outside. It can be an experience that you have felt in your heart that you never felt before. It can be any one of these experiences which makes you move forward. But if there is no experience and you say, I have a faith, this will happen, that's blind faith. On the spiritual path, there is no room for blind faith. But you should have living faith, which is a little different. Living faith means that you have one little experience and builds faith. Now it is possible to move one step. Not all the way, one step. Second step comes and you say, now I have more faith. Now I can wait for the next step. Now third step comes. So this grows. Living faith grows like all living things. Blind faith stays static. And whatever you believe remains the same. You just keep on believing it. So the perfect living masters recommend that you should have living faith. Now all these things are possible for all human beings. It is not a method for one person. And yet, the masters will customize it for each person separately. Because our karma is different. Our background is different. The stage at which we are today is different. Therefore, when masters give us something, they customize it. That is why if somebody says, I read a letter from great master, it's published in a book, and he says this, I don't feel like that. It wasn't meant for you. In the same book, master's letters I've seen contradictions. Not only in letters, in great master's time, a man came in the evening, master was sitting, I was sitting on the floor nearby, and I saw a strange thing, that a man comes running and he says, Master, this is my daughter. And she's grown up, she's a teenager, and she wants to go to college. And we say, no, she's a girl, she should get married and raise a family. What do you say? Master said, what's the difference between boys and girls? She should go to college. Why are you stopping her? Okay, master, she'll go to college. Within a few minutes, another man comes with his daughter. And he says, Master, my daughter's grown up and she wants to go to college. And we say she should get married. And master says, no, it's better to get married, look after the household. Two different answers in 5 minutes, two identical situations. Masters are not giving a standard reply. They are giving a reply according to the karmic situation of that person, according to what is best for that person to move on the spiritual path, which we cannot always see. Masters can always see what is the best thing at this time for this person based on what has happened over several lifetimes. Masters don't see what is happening in front of them, they see several lifetimes when they look at a person. Initiation is a process where the master evaluates the whole thing, the complete history of previous lives. So master's view on people is very different. And that's why the whole path for each individual based on where that person is customized. I brought up this issue today before you because some people believe it's just a common teaching and we can learn from one statement made for one person and apply it to us. No. Not only that. Master give talks. I remember great master giving a talk to 50 people in a small group. Master left and we were talking what master said. Everybody was saying something different. They all heard different things. They heard what they needed. They did not hear the same thing. So we all hear what we are bound to hear, what we are supposed to hear, what we are intended to hear. So that is why do not think that anybody's reply to somebody else will always automatically apply to you. And that is one of the mistakes we make when read books. Somebody says that I am reading a book which says the real secret of getting success in meditation is all the effort you can put in. Put in 2 hours, 2.5 hours, if possible even more. That the most successful meditators had put in 8 hours of meditation a day. That's why they got it. Same book, another part of the same book says, actually it is not the effort at all that counts. It is the grace of the master and the love that pulls you. If you have love and devotion and get grace of the master, ask for grace. Don't waste your time on meditation. Which one is true? It's in the same book. Effort or grace? Do you depend on one part of the book or the second part of the book? How can the book help you if the both things are stated there? Of course, when you go to a master and he says, do your meditation, more meditation, he knows that's all you need. Because if you don't do it, you won't move to the next stage of understanding grace. And then you start meditating. You had an opportunity to do more meditation earlier. You didn't do it. Master says, do more meditation and you start meditating more. And then later on you make some progress and you suddenly find you could not have meditated more at all with your mind, but for the grace the master gave you by saying, meditate more. And you discover that what you meditated more was not your meditation, it was grace itself. So what happens on the spiritual ascent into higher levels of consciousness is, you start by believing it is all your effort. Then you say, no, there is something else helping me in my effort. Then you go further and say, It's, I think, partly grace, it's partly my effort working. Then you go further and say, I think it's mostly grace. Ultimately, at the end, you find it all grace. And therefore, when I discovered, I said there's no difference between effort and grace. It just looks like effort to start with and looks like grace at the end. So there is no contradiction. Once you discover that, you read the book, it makes sense. If you don't discover it, don't practice on it, then it looks like a contradiction. So that is why Master's injunctions to us, advice to us, is based upon at what stage we are and at what stage we can absorb certain things, understand those things. Because so many things, Masters say, may pass over our head and later on they may make sense. A guy came to me once in Cambridge and he said, I am interested in the spiritual path and I've read a book called The Path of the Masters by Dr. Julian Johnson. It's a good book, but it doesn't answer my questions. That it's not worthwhile for a spiritual seeker to read. It's based upon ancient Indian ideas that he has picked up, this doctor from US, and I threw the book away. I said, well, that's all right. If the book made no sense to you, you could read some more psychological books and other things, understanding the mind. After a few years, he met me again. He said, wonderful, I'm on the spiritual path. I said, what happened? I read the book again. The same book put me on the spiritual path now. The same book that didn't mean anything, after a few years means so much. What happened? It's nothing wrong with the book. The book is the same. The print is the same. The language is the same. It's your own state of development that took the book with one meaning at one time, another meaning at another time. So all the point I'm making is that these are things customized. We all are at different stages. But what is common is that we all have access to insight.